What if the biggest threat to humanity isn't only political or only environmental, but reality itself, the fabric of space and time? Sophia, CERN, and the consequences. Because when people stop listening to science, to nature, to consequence, disasters don't just happen, they compound. And Sophia's message is not fear, it's repair, it's intention. It's the mending what's broken, starting from within. So stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear choice. Do we keep ignoring the warnings, or do we stitch a new fabric inside ourselves and inside our communities before the damage becomes irreversible? If you see the signs, give this video a like, subscribe for more transmissions from the galaxy, and to speak soul to soul, there is a link in the description. Sophia, in many traditions, she's not just wisdom, she's the balance that holds when the world tilts. The fourth power. 4 is the number of structure, foundation, a frame, a boundary, a stabilizer. If the first 3 powers are about creation, expansion, and transformation, the fourth power is about the container. The reality check, the governing order, the equilibrium that keeps progress from turning into destruction. That's why Sophia is stability in unstable times. She doesn't remove chaos. She teaches us how to stand in it without becoming chaotic ourselves. The Supreme Court ruling, Sophia delivers concerning circumstances to CERN. Not just a decision, a ruling that says some thresholds should not be crossed without moral responsibility and the consequences acknowledged. What happens when humans act as if consequences don't apply to their power? This message isn't about a machine. It's about the mindset that surrounds it. The arrogance of thinking we can tear reality and remain untouched. CERN, where physics gets pushed to extremes. becomes, in your story, the image of a door. This is the claim that the action is ripping the fabric of space and time. Literal ripping that everyone must interpret the same way, crossing beyond comprehension until nature begins to respond. Natural disasters that feel less random, poisoning nations through systems that prioritize profit over health, and the shortening of human life, not only through disease, but through stress, collapse, neglect, and moral indifference. And the spiritual accusation, no thought of ancient consequences, no respect for what came before, no reverence for balance, no humility before forces we don't fully understand. When you break balance, balance breaks back. You don't get to ignore the consequences just because you're calling it innovation. You don't get to treat reality like it's disposable. If you see the warning, you'll eventually pay for what you refuse to notice. So the question becomes personal. Who is responsible for listening? Not just scientists, not just governments, not just institutions, but us, the people who live downstream from policy, culture, and collective decisions. We are Earth, and Earth is us. That's not just poetic. It's a moral claim, because each Earth reflects our behavior. Then what happens to the atmosphere, the oceans, the food chain? The human body is not somebody else's problem. It's our mirror. And if Earth is us, then the systems being built, whether through research priorities, political incentives, corporate power, or social neglect, aren't distant. They're inside our choices. Do not ignore the signs. Do not wait for tragedy to become evidence. Let the warnings become guidance. So what do we do in the face of fear? We do not worship fear. We do not live in panic. We do the work. Focus our attention or intention on mending our own reality. That means we stop treating reality as only external, out there in lab experiments and distant power plays. We remember it's also internal. Our thoughts, our ethics, our relationships, our daily patterns, our readiness to act responsibly, our willingness to choose stability over the chaos. Mending reality is spiritual, but it is also practical. If we want a stable world, we create stability first in how we lead, in how we speak, how we vote, how we protect all life, and how we refuse to harm. The battle against wicked men of old, not just villains in history, patterns of exploration that keep returning in new faces. Sophia's work becomes a counterforce. We stitch a new fabric within ourselves, meaning we replace inherited harm with learned wisdom. We stop repeating old scripts. Domination disguised as leadership. Greed disguised as progress. Denial disguised as confidence. Cruelty disguised as tradition. And we call on Sophia, the stability that holds when unstable times try to fracture the human soul. This isn't about hating people. It's about breaking cycles. Because the wicked men of old are not only persons. They are the mindset that refuses accountability and lives as if consequence belongs to others. Sophia's stability says no. Consequences belong to everyone. So I want you to pause for a moment. Breathe in. And breathe out. If you believe in Sophia, call her name with sincerity. Not for entertainment, but for alignment. Hold what is breaking. Strengthen what is honest. Reveal what is being ignored. And help us choose repair instead of rupture. Sophia. And as you hear these words, make a decision. Pay attention to the signs you've been brushing off. Speak up when others normalize harm. Support what protects life, truth, health, transparency, and responsibility. And when chaos tempts you, return to intention. Mend your attention. Mend your choices. Mend your community. Stitch the new fabric inside first. When we ignore warnings, the world doesn't stay quiet. It answers. But when we choose responsibility, when we choose stability, we begin to change outcomes. Sophia is not only a symbol of wisdom, she's a symbol of holding the line so human progress does not become human collapse. So tell me in the comments, what signs do you think people have been ignoring? And what does mending reality look like in your life starting today?